Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Stefano. I will be your host for today. You might already know who I am if you've had the chance of watching any of our previous webinars. But even if you didn't, I welcome you anyway. So today we are going to be taking a look at the newest version of Website X5. But before getting started, I would just like to ask for a little feedback on your part. You should see that you can write a message in the chat as you're watching the webinar. If you could just let me know whether you can see and hear my voice just fine, or if you're experiencing any kind of problem. So yeah, we're just gonna do that and also give a little time to everyone so that everyone can join in for this webinar today. So let's see, don't be shy and just write in the chat if you can hear and see my screen just fine. Okay, I'm seeing yes, no issues, everything is fine. Hello from Germany, hello to you too from Italy. Hello from Bulgaria, hello to you too. Okay, it seems like video and audio should be okay. I can see somebody mentioning that the audio is cutting, but I don't see anybody else mentioning the same, so I'm just hoping it's something that's gonna be fixed on its own. From Ireland, from Indonesia, from Texas. Okay. From Miami, okay, all clear. All right, that's perfect. So I think we can get started then. Okay, so first of all, what are we going to be talking about today? Of course, we're going to be talking about the newest version of Website X5, which is 2025.2, which just released. So if you have an active license with Website X5, you should be able to check all of these functionalities I'm going to be showing you for yourself. In case you don't, just keep in mind that purchasing a new license will give you direct access to the newest version available, and you will also be receiving any new update for up to a year time based on when you activate the copy of Website X5 you just purchased. So for today's webinar, we are going to be taking a look at the newest additions to the software. I think I'm going to start by talking about the minor ones, and then we will be moving on to the to the bigger ones. Yes, of course. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about something that I can't really show you right now since my software is already installed, but we've worked quite a bit on the setup and registration procedure for the software, making it substantially faster, which is something that a lot of our users used to bring up when we were asking for community feedback. So the installation and registration process of the software, whether you are installing it again, but you were already a customer before, or if maybe this is your first experience with Website X5, you're going to notice that it's going to be much faster to complete. It's going to have less steps. Generally, just you're gonna be able to get it done much quicker than before. So with that out of the way, we can move on to the multiple attachments for contact forms. So let me just open up one contact form that I have on this project right here. So this project I picked, by the way, I picked this project specifically because we've integrated most of all of the new features I'm going to be talking about into it. So it's easier for me to show you. I'm also going to show you how to edit that, and just keep in mind that you can apply all of these effects on pre-existing templates or projects. This is not limited to new projects you might want to create. You can still apply all of these to projects you already started before the release of the version. So if you just open up any contact form object, then you go to Add, and you move to Attachment File. The first thing I want to talk about here is multiple attachments. So minor modifications we made to the software. Before you already had the chance, you already could allow your users to attach a file when completing any contact form onto your website. With this new option right here, simply you can now allow your user to attach more than one file to the contact form module. So let's assume just the first thing that comes to the top of my mind. Perhaps you are a manufacturer of cups, drinking cups, maybe t-shirts, maybe customizable t-shirts, and you want to give your user a chance to attach multiple designs to apply to your product. This is one very common case scenario for multiple attachments, but we may also be talking about, I don't know, perhaps you are managing a website which requires your users to send maybe some personal document, maybe more than one file is required and you need multiple attachments. Well, from this version on, this is something you are able to do on any contact form object. So attaching more than one file to the same submission that your user can make. So this one was one of the first minor changes, together with the installation being faster. Next thing I want to move on is the zoom effect for raw formats. This is also pretty minor. Essentially, if you go to your step number 4, to the grid view of the page, then you move on to raw formats. And then you decide you want to apply an image list as background. So not just a simple image, but an image list is mandatory. You can select the images you want to display, and then you have a new effect here, which says zoom. Before you had fade, so images could move from one to another, transition from one to another with a fade, with a scroll, with a rotation. Now that can be done with a zoom as well. I'm not going to show it to you with this page specifically because it's already built for the template, but just keep in mind that if you have any row with an image list configured as background, you can now pick this type of transition as well. Okay, just one moment because I'm seeing a quick question in the chat. How big can the attachments be? The size of the files that can be attached is not related to the software itself. It's actually a server configuration limit. So if you are experiencing any issue with attachment size, that's something that needs to be taken care of server side with your hosting provider. There's no limitation as far as how the attachments work on the website, on Website X5 itself, that you can manage. It needs to be managed server side by your hosting or with your server provider. Okay, with that out of the way, the last minor change I wanted to display concerns images. So I'm just gonna place an image object onto the grid, then boot it up, and then click on the icon right here, which, in case you don't know, this is used to, suppose you wanna place an image here. If the image was currently onto your computer, stored onto your computer, you would click on the little folder icon here. This opens up your Windows Explorer. Sorry, I'm talking about, of course, the internal Explorer of the Windows system, not the browser. You just click here and you can select an image to place, which is stored again on your computer. If you click right here, a new window opens, which before it used to let you pick images straight from a few online databases by using filters as well. And these images were provided either for free from a few specific image providers such as Pixabay and Depositphotos. This is still the case, but you also get this new icon here, which clearly tells you which images are paid and which ones are free. But the real new thing here is that we've added a new image provider to Pixabay and Depositphotos, which is Pexels. Pexels is another image service provider, which allows us to present to you an even greater number of images that again can be also filtered to make sure that you can find the right image for your page. So you have a wider selection of photos and illustrations to pick from when you want to decorate your website X5 pages. In case maybe you just don't have the right image onto your computer, you can just pick one from here, either for free or paid. It's up to you. New service provider added, so you can have an even greater choice of images. Okay, so with that out of the way, let me just get this object removed. Okay. Now we can move on to the bigger differences between the older version and the newer version. So first of all, let's go to step number 1 and then move to general information. So this first change right here is going to be, I believe, appreciated mostly by our Arabian users, or in general for any user who finds themselves in the situation where they need to build a website that needs to be displaying text from right to left instead of from left to right, which, as I mentioned, is typical in like some languages like Arabian. So you're gonna have this option right here under general information in step 1. You have writing direction. You can decide, you can let the website decide what direction to pick according to the content language you select, but you can also force the direction in case you want to make sure that the website just looks right. Maybe you used a custom language here which won't allow the software to automatically select the writing direction. You can just force it here. Once you do that and you click on OK, this new window is going to pop up. What this means essentially is this. You might find yourself in two main situations. Perhaps you already built a website before. Now you want to translate this website, have a copy of this website made in a different language. You have this option right here, which says automatically mirror all content. This setting is useful when a site is being created in a left to right language, and you want to create a new version for a right to left language. So essentially, you built the entirety of your website based on the fact that it would be a left to right language. Then you want to translate it perhaps in a different language which requires right to left. So you just select this option right here, and the software is going to be taking care of mirroring the entire website, so it just looks correct for the new writing direction. In case you want to leave the contents unchanged, let's assume you built a website, maybe you forgot to change the writing direction here, or maybe you didn't forget, you just left it for last, but you already built the entirety of your website the correct way for this kind of writing direction. You can just select leave the contents unchanged. So this setting will be useful if the site's content was already designed with the right to left reading direction in mind. So the software will not be modifying anything in your layout. All of the changes, all of the work needed to adapt all of the website to the new writing direction can be taken care of automatically by the software. So this is actually a pretty big change in how the software works, considering it's now supporting a completely different layout, and the software also takes care of this on its own. So a lot of work, a lot of time, especially saved in adapting your website for the new language. Next, we will be moving on to, I think this is probably the biggest part of the newest version. We are going to be talking about effects. Effects on both the entire page and on objects. So I think we can start with objects first, because effects were a thing on objects even before this version. So if I just show you, it's probably easier to explain what has changed so far. So I'm going to be showing you the preview for this template before we move on. So again, so it's easier for me to explain to you what has changed. So you can see right here, this is the page. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start scrolling the page down. What you are going to be noticing is that objects are going to be displaying different effects while I'm scrolling the page down. You can see the image disappears here, same here, then some text is coming in. Then as I'm scrolling further down, this text just sticks to the top of the browser. And the main difference, if some of you perhaps used any kind of effect on objects before, is this. Because some of you may be wondering, okay, so what's the difference with effects we had before? The difference is effects you had before were supposed to work, and of course they still work like that. As soon as the object appears in view of the user, a certain animation is going to be playing. With this new kind of effect, the effect will be replaying every time the page is scrolled in a different direction. So you can see that items appear again, disappear again. Text come in, text go away. Text to stick, yeah, as I mentioned before. All of this is done with the newest effects that we've implemented into the software. Let's take a look at some of these. So if you just select any object which has an effect applied to it, you just click on effect. You can see that the page looks just a little bit different from before. You can now enable a certain effect to be executed on page scroll, or start the effect when the object appears, which is essentially the same way it worked before. So if I select this option and I select, I don't know, maybe flash that, yeah, I think that will be okay. I just boot up the preview again and I move to here. You can see that this flashing happens, but that's it. The other objects are still going to be displaying the same effect, but this one doesn't. It played the entrance effect, let's call it like that, but then nothing plays anymore. If we change this to execute the effect on page scroll, there we go. Let's move right here. You can see the objects displays the same effect as before. So this is very, very helpful for making the website just feel more modern, more enticing, and in general, this is what the, I know this may sound silly at times, because everybody, when somebody thinks new functionalities, the first thing everybody can think of is functionalities that actually do something like, I don't know, the uploading of material, some calendar, stuff like that, stuff the user can interact with. But it's always important to remember that animations, a good font, a good image, the fact that your website looks good is always the first thing that your user is going to be noticing. So if your website looks pleasing to the eye, the user is definitely more likely to stick around. So execute the effect on page scroll. And the other new feature we have here is set the object as sticky, which, as described here, is essentially allows the object to remain visible as long as the objects on the same line are still visible. So this is the case for this text right here. You can see that this text is placed over the same lines as all of this text. So what this does is when I move here, as soon as I scroll down, the object is not gonna go away while the others do. As soon as the line for this ends, the text is going to be disappearing as well. You can see the difference better if I just uncheck this. If I do, you can see right now that the text is just going to be disappearing. There we go. Of course, this looks particularly good on this template because our fantastic internal designers worked really, really hard on this design to be able to display all of these effects the best way possible. But remember that the effect itself, yes, of course, it's gonna make your pages look good. I have no doubt about that. But this and the fact that the effect looks just as good as this is all up to your creativity. We may be able to give you all the tools you need. We can add a lot of animations, new features, stuff like that. But it's up to you how the website is going to be looking like in the end. So I for one can't wait to see all of the new creations that are gonna pop up on our community section for website as soon as all of you start working with these animations we've given you. Okay, so with that being said, let's move to the page effect, which this is completely new instead. So before, you didn't really have this option right here you have now. What is a page effect? So essentially, this is a transition effect that takes place when you move from one page of your website to the other. Let's take a look at this, for example. Let's see the page about, oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back to step 3. Page about. We click on there, then we click on effect. You can see that we have this slide to top option enabled right now. So what does this do? Let's boot up our preview. Okay. Then we go to the menu and we go to the about page. Normally, what would happen is the home page would disappear. The website would take a second to load, and then the new page would appear. What happens now is this. You can see that you have this flawless transition to the new page instead of simply having the page disappear and then a new one appear. We can do the same with other pages. We have a fade effect here. A different fade effect here. And we can just go back to the home page. I can show you a couple other effects. Oh, sorry, I just keep clicking on the wrong place. Let's go back to the about then effect. Let's say, I don't know, let's say slide next. Then we go to the home page and then we move to the about page. I don't think okay, there we go. And there you have it. I believe this is actually a very, very, very cool effect to have on your pages because it just gives the user the impression that everything is happening very quickly on the same page. Like the page is transforming, you're not really loading a new page. This is something, personally, I've been waiting a lot for this to come to the software because I think this simply looks really, really cool on your website. And well, I'm just glad it's finally here. Okay, with that out of the way, I think we can move to the final new feature that we have with this newest version before allowing you to ask any question you might have. So let's go back to step number 1, and then we go under general information again. So the new feature you are going to be finding here, which was not there before, is this part right here. Web app for mobile devices. What this does is essentially this. I'm going to be showing you a couple images to help you understand how this works, because in order to show this to you properly, I would need to have I would need to be streaming a mobile phone. Since I'm on a computer, I can't really show that to you right now. Anyway, when you enable this option right here, next time you upload your website online, a banner will be shown to your users navigating onto your website, which allows them to install it says the app here, but what it does is essentially it installs your website like an app on the mobile device. So this means that your users, especially this may be especially useful if you're like building an e-commerce or stuff like that, you want to give a quick way for your users to access your e-commerce or your website at any given moment when necessary. Or let's say perhaps you are hosting an event and you want to build a website where you are showing a map of the event. Your users can download and install your website just like if it was an app on their mobile devices, so they can easily access that at any time. I'm gonna show you what it looks like by taking a quick picture out of our main promotional videos for this version. So you can see right here, the website is open and you get this banner right here, which says install this application on your home screen for a better experience. You just click on install and the app, the website gets installed as a standalone app onto your device, just like this. This is what the final looks of this is. You are going to be finding an application is installed onto your home screen with the name you've specified right here. And also using the icon you specify right here for the app. So whenever a user clicks onto here, your website is going to be opening like an app instead of like a website. So they're not going to be seeing their Chrome browser, for example, open up and then navigate to your website, but your website will look just like any app your users might have installed onto your device. Very, very helpful, especially for experiences such as the e-commerce, but in general, this can be very, very helpful for any kind of website which is meant to be used several times by your user, not just navigating once. So maybe a blog too. The blog could be a good idea as well. A very easy way for your users to access your website just as if it was an app installed onto their phone. All done simply by enabling this option right here. Okay, so that being said, I think we already got to the end of today's webinar. This is all that the new Website X5 2025.2 has to offer. So I'm just going to be waiting a couple minutes in case any of you has any kind of question about what I've just shown. Perhaps if anything was unclear, if you have further doubts that I can clear for you, or maybe I just wasn't very clear on some particular step that I took as I was showing you the software. Please feel free to use the chat and just let me know if there's anything else I can demonstrate to you. Okay, let's see. I can see Tony thanking me, another excellent presentation. Well, thank you very much. Even if that may not seem like the case, I really appreciate that. I always hope all of my presentation and webinars are as clear as possible. I hope they're of interest to you, whether you are a new user or an experienced user, or like a hardened veteran. I always hope you can take something good out of these presentations we're making. So let's see. I don't think I'm seeing any other questions. In that case, I think, as usual, I can just assume that I was as clear as one can be. I can also see my colleagues already providing assistance to some of you. I can see one question that says, what about installed app and major changes on the website? I'm not sure I understand the question properly. What I am understanding here is that you are asking, what if you change anything on the website? What about the app? The app is going to be it's going to keep itself automatically updated with the website. So if somebody installed the app and then you make some changes, it's not really necessary to do the entire procedure again. The users are going to be seeing the updates straight from the app. Okay, so that being said, I don't think I'm seeing any other question right now. So yeah, I thank you very much for joining me today, as usual. If you have any further question, maybe any doubt, anything that needs clearing after the webinar is over, just keep in mind that you can always get in touch with me and my colleagues on one of our many channels, through the phone, via email at sales@incomedia.eu, or even our official help center, helpcenter.websitex5.com. If you have any question, just feel free to contact us there, and we will be more than happy to help you sort out any kind of doubt. Again, thank you for joining me today, and I guess I will see you next webinar. Have a good day.